Okay, as we saw in the Bible Project video, we're going to sort of pay attention to the word expectation. So take a look at all the different types of people that are going to interact with Jesus in Matthew 14 and see their expectation. Well, first of all, we've got Herod, and he was a Jewish ruler, but he was a ruler for the Romans because the Romans were in charge, but he was actually Jewish because this was a Jewish region. And so it says that he had heard about Jesus, and he said to his advisors, "This must be John the Baptist raised from the dead. That's why he can do such miracles." And then it kind of backtracks here in chapter 14 and explains what Herod had done. See, Herod had imprisoned John the Baptist, and I'll let you read this for yourself. And it's kind of it's a gruesome story, but he beheaded John the Baptist. And so here we've got this ruler, Herod, who wasn't a real good guy, and he's thinking, well, maybe Jesus is John the Baptist raised from the dead. And that's why he's doing all these miracles. Now, then we move on and we actually see some of these miracles. So we see Jesus feeding the 5,000. So the disciples came to him and they said, "Hey, all these people, these crowds are here." Jesus was pretty famous at this point. And they said, "You should send these crowds home because they should go get something to eat." But Jesus turned this into an opportunity to teach them about who he was, to sort of help them understand who he really was and how powerful he was. He says, "No, it's not necessary. You feed them." And I'll let you read that story for yourself. But he feeds the 5,000. It's a miracle. It's just showing who Jesus really is. It's sort of resetting everyone's expectations. They're really not sure what to make of him. Even the disciples aren't really sure, fully what to make of him. Their faith is still developing. Maybe you can relate to that. And then in the next passage, he walks on water, and this was a story where his disciples are out on the boat, and there's a big storm, and he walks out there on the water, and Peter says, "Hey, Lord, if it's you, then call to me, and I'll come walk on the water." And so Jesus said, "Yeah, come on." And so Peter goes out, and this is kind of a funny illustration of Peter's personality, because Peter goes out and he jumps over the side of the boat, he walks in the water toward Jesus, but then he looked around him. And what a great example this is of sometimes when we're trying to step out in faith and do something that is maybe difficult for us to do, but then we look outside and we realize that maybe the world is against us and we lose faith. And that's kind of what happens here to Peter. And so Jesus sort of rebukes him gently about this. He said, "Come on, why did you doubt me? You have little faith." Maybe you can relate to that story. But look what it says in verse 33. It says, at the end of those two stories, and the disciples worshiped him, and they said, "You really are the Son of God." It's interesting because, again, you see the journey of faith that these disciples are on as they're walking with Jesus. They're learning day by day more and more who he is. And I hope you feel the same way as you're reading through God's word and you're getting to know Jesus. Hopefully you're talking about some of this with a mentor or a small group. And it says even the people, when they recognized Jesus, the news of his arrival spread quickly through the whole area, and people were bringing all their sick to be healed. And so now Jesus is just meeting the needs of all of these people, of course, sort of consumeristic needs. But we're going to see soon enough that Jesus has a greater mission and a greater purpose. But that's all you need for now to read Matthew chapter 14. So go ahead and do that, and we'll see you tomorrow for chapter 15.